Okay, while Edgar's getting his screen up and sharing, I'm just going to kind of repeat what I was saying a little bit earlier about the reapplying for the equipment grant. If your site has already received the equipment grant in the past, anytime in the past, since the equipment grant began in, I believe it was the 2010-2011 school year, that site is not eligible. If you have more than one accredited site, but maybe only one kitchen site, and you received an equipment grant at that kitchen site, that site is not eligible anymore. So if you have questions, if you've received one, you can't find paperwork, you just don't know, please call Rhonda Stevenson in our office, and she can look up that information and let you know if you have already received that. So I'm going to let Edgar take it away and start. I'm going to try to, we're going to get through the entire application. If I see something in the chat that I need to stop Edgar for, I will stop him. But for the most part, we'll just let him move on. Thank you, guys. Edgar, take it away.
Thanks, Dana. Hello, everyone. I'm glad that you're able to participate with us today. So we're going to get started here. This is a test environment, and which means it's not the real life, but we do have the equipment grant online in the checklist. Some of you, when you log in on your CARS account, you might be at this page, which is called the School Food Authority. If you are there, you'll just simply click on the right side where you see the baby blue box with your county and district code. Just simply click checklist. And then now we're at the checklist with all your other forms. Something to keep in mind, make sure you're on 22. Sometimes for some reason, maybe you were working on something else and you could be on 21, but 22 is the year to be in. So on your checklist at the very bottom, you will see this link called Equipment Grant. It should be available for you. Feel free to go ahead and click on it. Once you click on it, you will not have sites inserted. So you will need to insert your site like you did with the Seamless Summer application. So in this example, we're going to use the Wayne Middle School. After I've added them, we're going to click Add Sites. This site has been successfully inserted. Okay, and just make a note at this time. You see how there's a green check mark for the Wayne Middle School. That means it's not certified. And then the Wayne Elementary, which is this is one that I was working on. It has a green padlock. Make sure when you think you're done with the application, make sure you see a green padlock on them. If you don't see that, then if you don't see it, then your application is not certified. Call us and we can see what's missing or what's going on, so we get that in there. So in this example, let's go ahead and start with Wayne Elementary. There is some basic information on as you start out in the application. One thing you do want to keep in mind is the deadline. The deadline is October 15 at 4:30 p.m. If it passes this time, yes, you will be able to. You will be able to get into the application, but you will not be able to do anything in here. It will only be view only after this deadline has been met. So be sure to get everything in before the deadline. Okay, and if you have any questions about it, like Dana mentioned, please feel free to call Rhonda Stevenson or Dana, and they can help you out with any general questions. And if you end up having some tech issues, you can let me know, or if you have spoken with them, they will let me know as well. When you start out filling out the application, the name of the school and the district code will be in there. So you will put your contact information. In this one, I put Johnny Test. You will put a contact phone number and then a email. So the first question is, did the district exceed the 3-month operating balance in the previous fiscal year? I put no, but Dana, do you need to elaborate on here, or do we continue?
This is in there because if you've exceeded your 3-month operating balance in the previous school year, we're going to want to have a conversation with you individually as to why you feel you need money from the equipment grant for equipment when you've exceeded that 3-month operating balance. And there could be a reason why, and we will put that explanation in there, but we would want to have that conversation.
Thank you, Dana. And then the next question is, does the district have existing or state local funding for equipment? In this case example, I'm putting no. And then, has this site received funds from the equipment assistant grant before? You might want to pay attention to this part. Right now we have, or I marked no, but if you mark yes, you will receive this message. Oops. I'll unhighlight it. Because like Dana mentioned before, there are certain scenarios where maybe you won't be able to apply for this site. Also, maybe your site has received an equipment grant in previous years, even if it's more than 5 years, 10 years, the site will not be eligible to receive or is not eligible for this equipment grant this year because it's received one at some point in the past. In this scenario, right here, the documentation method, school data, leave it, or you can skip this section. If your low income report does not auto-populate, it'll probably most likely auto-populate after you click save. So you can just disregard this section. You do not need to fill out this free reduced section area. We will be going off of your low income report. If you have a new site that doesn't have a low income report, contact us and then we can see what we need to do at that point. And then again, so just skip this area. So when you're done filling this top section out, what you will want to do is simply click save. Oops, let me take that off. You will simply click save so that everything up here is saved. Let me switch over to this other site so I can show you a better example. Let me go over to the middle school. See this one, yes, it has its low income report information there. And this is also coming from FY20, since we do not have a 21. The most current low income is FY20. So we're gonna go ahead and click save. And it's been updated. So I know everything up here is saved, but you're not finished yet. Also, you see this Certify Form button? I'm clicking on it, but nothing's happening. And that's because you're not finished with the application. What you need to do next is in this baby blue box where it says list of equipment, you're gonna click on this hyperlink called or titled Add Equipment. This is what we need to, what you need to fill out so that we know what you're applying for, whether it's a oven or a steamer or a dishwasher. You will fill out all these questions. Let me go back to the other site. We're gonna go back to that elementary. Okay, we're gonna click on the super oven, but it's only in here because I already added it. So you have to add equipment and then it'll take you into the application. When you're done with the application, then yes, you'll see it listed there like you saw mine called the super oven. So in this scenario, we're just filling out some basic information about the oven that I would like to purchase. Just like it says, super oven, the model, the manufacturer, any other details to it. Make sure that you're clicking on these boxes because there are some drop downs. Like in this example, it says, what is your projected increase in breakfast participation? I definitely want all my kids at my school to eat. Every belly counts. So I'm gonna put 91 through 100%. The equipment that I'm buying is I want to replace the old one because the old one is 40 years old. There's other options on here if it's a completely new item that you don't have, or if it's refurbished. Okay.
Speaker, I'm gonna break in here real quick and add something. Remember, before you even get to this point, you've got to follow your procurement procedures that you've basically price quotes or bid out for this piece of equipment. So you're gonna know the manufacturer, the model number. So you don't fill this out just in hopes to get some money to see if you can buy the equipment. You actually need to follow the bid process and know exactly what piece of equipment and the price of that piece of equipment. Thanks, Edgar.
Thank you, Dana. Is also, Dana, is there anything specifically on this number 3 that's highlighted that we need to stress to the schools, or?
Not necessarily. Just we want you to get the best piece of equipment you can. Remember, it's a grant, so don't necessarily go. I don't want to say cheap, but don't go cheap on us. Don't just say, oh well, I don't want to spend a whole lot of money, so I'm just going to get for a warmer when you really need that new oven. If you need that new oven, get a price for that new oven. Try to get the piece of equipment you really need. If you really need a blast chiller or a tilt skillet, do that. Don't just say, well, I think, we don't want to spend, but $2,000 or $3,000. So I'm just going to get a price on a little warmer. Get the piece of equipment get the bid price on a piece of equipment you need.
Thanks, Dana. So in this situation, I put the oven costs $1,800, and it's just one piece of equipment. And then letter C, it just auto populates for you. It has its own calculations in the background. So you'll just fill out A and B there. Number 4, the main thing is you do have to click on each of these square boxes. The ones that have these blue check marks, you do need to click on all those, otherwise the application will not be able to be saved, and you do have to enter something in each of these comment boxes. I've just done some examples here, but you will enter what best meets your school's needs. Is there anything that you've seen with these applications in previous years?
This is a little different. In years past, in the paper application, um, what you see on number 4 has not really been entered into the scoring process. What we do is we take your application and based on free and reduced, what you're spending, how the equipment is you're replacing. We have a scoring sheet that is approved by USDA, and we put all of this information in the scoring sheet. In the past, number 4 has just been you either get 5 points for having that all completed or 0 points for none of it completed. This year, each one of those A, C, what are we? A, B, C, D, E are all worth up to a point apiece. So it's not an all or nothing. So you want to make sure you put some good explanations in there of how that piece of equipment is going to improve your safety, how it's going to improve the meal counts, how it's going to increase meal counts. What, the other questions there, make sure that you've answered those to the best of your ability. And USDA wants us to put an emphasis on breakfast. That's why you see in number 2, describe how this piece of equipment will enhance your breakfast program. So if you're ordering a new oven, so Edgar has in there that new oven, that's going to be so you can maybe serve cook breakfast more as the kids are coming through the line. You're going to have it more a just-in-time breakfast. It allows you maybe to even cook breakfast and not serve quite so much prepackaged meals. That might be some explanations you put in there. And that way it has a little bit more weighted in our scoring sheet. So keep that in mind when you're completing this. And I will say, this is the actual application. For the other information, the memo from USDA, our memo to you guys on the correct steps, purchasing, doing your bid processes and everything, that's all in other documents under the Equipment Grant 2022. So you want to make sure that you maybe even print off those documents to have them handy while you're doing this application process. Thanks, Edgar.
Thank you. After you fill these out, there is number 5. And number 5 has these 3 options. This just lets us know when you're expecting to purchase your equipment. So you have these 3 options there. And then you will click Save. And then application has been successfully updated. Then, yes, you're going to click Certify. Has been successfully updated and submitted. And after you click Certify, yes, you will see this here. That's the main thing you need to watch out for. If you don't see this, then we did not receive your application. So make sure you see that, the timestamp. And then let me go back to the other page. So I'm at the first page of this application. And then I'm going to go from there. I'm going to click Certify Form as well. Gotta look at this. Well, it'll, after you click Certify, yes, you will see another timestamp. And that's what you do want to see. Yes, you do want to see that there is also the green padlock. That's how you know you've completed the application. And then, just to be sure, we're going to go back to the site listing, which is where all the sites are listed. And, well, something happened here. My green padlock's not there. But you do want to have the green padlock on there. So I'll look into that right away so we can make sure that that's on there. And then if you notice, there is number of equipment. The elementary has 2, listed on there, that's just in my case. Your school might just have one, maybe two, maybe even three, but that's just because I filled out two in here. And the super oven, in my opinion, is more important. So that's why I have it at the top versus the dishwasher. But you should be able to change these or switch it out if you think the dishwasher is more important than the oven. I think it was clicking this here. There you go. And then I clicked on the dishwasher. You just move it up. Has been successfully swapped. And see, now you have the dishwasher up here, and it's up here too. Oops. I went into this oven. Okay. So let me go back into the elementary.
Remember, Edgar's in a test site, and this is the first time we're working through the application. So there may be a few bugs when you guys get ready to get in it and start completing. When you do, when you find one, don't panic, just let us know and we'll get with Edgar and we'll get the team to get it corrected as soon as we can.
Yes. So just make sure you did certify them with the timestamps. As long as you see the timestamps on both pages, for right now, you'll be good. And while I work through some of these things here, but yes, just have the timestamps. Is there any other questions that the schools have?
We've had several through the chat, so I'm going to scroll back up and kind of answer some of the questions that we've had.
Okay.
Oop, too far. Okay, again, so if a site has already received the equipment grant from when the equipment grant began back in, I believe the year was 2010, 2011 is our first year, then that site is not eligible to receive another piece of equipment. So if you received one last year, no, you're definitely not eligible at that same site. Oop. Okay, and that's. Okay, someone's asked, it's per eating site. It is per basic kitchen, not necessarily accredited site. So again, if you had one eating site and 3 accredited sites, you could only receive the piece of equipment for the eating site. Dina, you say no income report for Tahlequah Sequoia. You'll need to contact us and we'll get your information entered because you do not do the low income. You need the name and number. I put Rhonda Stevenson's email address in there. I didn't know her phone number off the top of my head. Brenda says, this is my first year doing anything with our cafeteria. How do I find out if we have received the grant before? Contact me or Rhonda and we will look that up for you. Pieces of equipment, chairs and tables, they would definitely qualify. Is there a max dollar amount? No, there is not there is a minimum dollar amount. The piece of equipment has to cost over $1,000 to be considered, but there is no max amount. Can we see the scoring sheet? I'll have to ask USDA. I'm not sure if that can be shared or if that has to, if we can or we can't. Can we request more than one piece of equipment? Yes, you're going to rank them in order. That will just all depend on how much money we have, but you want to put the one that is most important to you that you want up first. So that is the one that we will consider first. When is the equipment grant due? Is there a time frame? Yes, the equipment grant is due October 15th. Is that what we have, Edgar? At 4:30 p.m. Anything that you complete after 4:30 p.m. on that Friday will not be included in the equipment grant. How long will it take to find out if we are approved? I I think that's in our memo, and I should have printed those off. We will try to have everyone notified by the first week of November. Okay, hang on. We just ordered a warmer because parts for our old one had become obsolete. We have not paid. It has to be a new purchase. It can't be something you've already purchased. You can't purchase something and then send us a receipt saying this is what you purchased. It has to be a new qualifying purchase. So we need 3 quotes. If you are doing this under small purchase procedures, the small purchase procedure says at least at a minimum of 2 price quotes. If you're doing it as a sealed bid, you have to send it to at least 3 qualifying vendors. Okay, Edgar's put the deadline in the chat. The deadline is 4:30, October 15th, 2021. Okay, I think that's all the questions, but have I missed anyone? Have I missed any questions? Scrolling through there because my chat sometimes just goes crazy.
Dana, after in the instructions, after they're awarded, they submit paperwork to us.
Yes. Okay, once you've sent in your application and we've qualified you and we've awarded you the equipment grant, we will send you an email plus a memo stating how much the funds you're getting, and you have to send back assurances that you're going to, use the equipment grant, that you agree to all the stipulations. And then once you order your piece of equipment, there's a certain time frame that we need all this information back. You have to sign these assurances and send them back to Rhonda. Then once you've actually purchased the equipment and get it installed, or at least purchase, it doesn't necessarily have to be installed, but we want it purchased and paid for before we reimburse you for the piece of equipment. So you don't want to hem-haw around about getting the piece of equipment ordered. Soon as you hear back from us that you have received the grant, you want to get that ordered, especially right now during COVID, because things are not coming in as quickly as we need them to, or they do in a normal year. If for some reason you are awarded a piece of equipment and lo and behold, you find out that piece of equipment won't work or something, you need to contact Rhonda immediately so that she can help you figure out your next steps. Because there are ways that we can move things around to help you out. Also, I wanted to mention, make sure that if you are purchasing a piece of equipment that you include all the cost for that piece of equipment. Example, you're putting in a walk-in refrigerator. We want to make sure that we can cover all of your costs. So put in, if you're having to pour cement, you are having to do the electrical, you're going to have to hire someone extra to set the thing up, to get it running and everything. All of those costs you need to include in your bid for the walk-in, and need to include all of that in your application. And Shalonda asked, you said it had to be purchased and paid for before the grant monies are received. That is correct. This is a grant that reimburses you for the equipment. It doesn't pay for them up front. So everything has to be a PO written for, purchased, and the check written to the vendor. Sorry, can you say the bid process again? 2 bids, 3 bids? Small purchase procedures is 2 price quotes. Sealed bid says you have to send the sealed bid to a minimum of 3 companies. It doesn't say you have to receive bids back from the 3 companies. They have to be sent to 3 companies. Unless you're just doing something outrageous, remember the small purchase threshold is 250,000. If you're buying a piece of equipment or pieces of, walk-in refrigerator, freezer, that's going to be more than 250,000, call us and let us talk about it before you start bidding that out for the equipment grant. Because Oklahoma's only granted $399,000. And we like to be able to spread that money out to as many schools who are in need as we can. Any other questions? I don't. Okay, Edgar, they want you to go back over the section dealing with the low income report. What Edgar said about the low income report is if it doesn't auto populate while you're in there, it should auto populate after you save it. That's we're working with that with the guys to make sure that your low income information pulls through. See how it is. Here it is on this site. The total enrollment's 227, free, reduced, and their percentage there is 69.16%.
Correct.
That is what we want to make sure. And we will look at those when we look at the grants. And if your low income report didn't pull correctly, we will look at those. Edgar will look at those and we will make sure that you pulled in correctly.
Yes, so don't fill this out, the free and reduced boxes, because for the most part, we will be using your low income report. So don't fill this part out right here. It's not needed. You could basically just skip this right here.
All right, and yes, Amber asked, will we know if we are awarded the grant? Will we know if we are awarded the grant before we need to make the purchase? Yes. Do not make any purchases assuming you're going to get the grant. Wait until you actually have the letter in your hand from Rhonda that says you have been awarded the equipment grant. It will specify the equipment that you are to purchase and the amount of money that you will be allowed, that we will reimburse you for what you spend. In other words, if you put on this application, you're buying a super oven and you put on there, the price is, I think Edgar had $1,800. And then you go out and you change your mind and decide to buy a super duper oven for $5,000. We're only going to reimburse you the $1,800 because that is what you asked for. We will not reimburse you what you actually spent if that is not what was awarded. Great questions. You guys have been a great audience. Again, if you have questions, Rhonda Stevenson or myself, call us, email us. Email sometimes is a better way to contact us. If you need anything on the equipment grant, let us know. We're here to help you. Remember, the application is due October 14th. October 14th. After that deadline, we can't give you any money. And we want to give away our money and we want you guys to get it spent in a timely manner and get all this taken care of. Anything else? If not, we won't keep you guys. The amount for Oklahoma was $399,000 and some odd, just right at $400,000, just a few dollars shy of $400,000. So not very much in the whole scheme of things. All right, I'm going to disconnect our meeting. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day and call if you need us.